Austin Trudeau is a manager in Wakefield, Quebec. He's a recent graduate from the Concordia University studying in psychology. He's actually going into his second year as a manager, an owner-operator with the StudentWorks management program, and is looking to take his business from $157,000 last year to $300,000 this year. So we'll get started. Austin, what were you doing before you actually started working with the StudentWorks management program?
I was working at a local grocery store, actually. And I was working just in the grocery department, stocking shelves, doing full-time hours in the summer.
Okay. And so how did you come to find out about the StudentWorks program?
Man, it's actually kind of a stretch of a story. I was at a party, and one of my friends from playing hockey growing up was at the party, and he mentioned to me that he was starting a painting business. And I found that quite absurd, considering we were 19, and I had never seen him lift a paintbrush before. So I kind of called him out for it, and I was like, first of all, he offered me to interview for it. And I was like, well, I've never painted before. I think you got the wrong guy. And then so, you know, he kind of explained it to me a little bit more about what the summer management program was. And then eventually, I really didn't want to go back to working at that grocery store. So I ended up going to the first interview and got the job, and then the first training. And by the time I had realized it, I was already a couple weeks into the job, and I started out as a painter. So, and that's how I really got into the system. And then as I worked with him for 2 years as a painter and a production manager, I had the opportunity to go into an operator position where I really wanted to challenge myself with running the actual business.
Yeah, so like you started off, you were painting with Gabe, your friend, and then you guys kind of worked your way up from there. You ended up production managing, so basically running part of the business management side of it for a year with him. What made you want to go from that to actually running your own business?
Well, because as a production manager, you get handed employees from the operator, right? And then you're being, you know, the operator may train them a bit, but you're ultimately responsible for training and supervising employees that you yourself didn't hire. And you weren't in the process of hiring those people, recruiting those people, and you weren't in the process of estimating or selling the jobs that you're producing as well. So you're kind of a plug into the system where you have the opportunity to manage more people, but at the end of the day, you don't have the utmost control of the whole structure. So that's really what was attractive to me for the operator position, was that not only would I get to continue to work on my production skills and managing job sites, but I would be able to actually go ahead and book those jobs myself and recruit the people and hire and train them, the people that would be producing that work as well.
Okay. And so when you actually got started running your own business, what were you most concerned about? You know, what was kind of scaring you the most about the whole thing?
Probably just trusting other people, you know, because a part of owning the business is that you're not on all these, you can't be on 3 or 4 different job sites at once. You can't see exactly what's going on all the time. And it was really just an issue of trust with me, with the people I had hired, but it's more of an issue that I was dealing with that was more of an irrational issue, because obviously the people I hired were capable of doing the work that I had trained them to do. And it was really just not having the full ability of control. And I just had to continuously accept that. And that's my main goal this year, is actually to increase my delegation capacity, because that's something I know I really need to excel in order to be able to double my business, right? So, yeah.
Okay. So actually, you know, you must have you were obviously challenged by this idea of like sort of letting go of some of the responsibility and kind of stepping off job sites and letting other people handle stuff. How were you supported throughout the process of just not only learning that, but learning how to run the whole business?
A way in which I was supported in being able to kind of step back a bit is having the one-on-one coaching with my district manager that allowed me, that was, you know, every week we would talk for an extended period of time, about an hour or two, but I could also call this person at any time. And I know the thing is with the delegation issue is that I know when it's happening. I know when I feel the need to be on a job site, even though the people that are there are completely sufficiently trained to do the work. Yeah. So having the ability to actually call somebody and be like, hey man, you got to talk some sense into me, because I know that I want to go to this job site instead of going to estimates or sell more jobs or even just have some downtime. And just having that ability to be able to reach out to that person and be a constant reminder as to how to deal with this, how to set people up, and then check in on them systematically so that you can still have that feeling of being in control and having, knowing what's going on your job sites. It's a super valuable, super valuable thing to have.
Okay. So obviously, it was a hard summer, especially because I know, running a $157,000 business isn't easy. So what would you say was the hardest lesson that you had to learn about running a business?
I would say that the hardest thing would be that from the beginning, I found it, I always, from this time last year when I was starting out my business, I thought that a lot of my goals had to be within reason. There had to be like a really realistic, reasonable goal for me to attain. And then if I hit that, I'd feel really good about it. And now I'm realizing that the more you can be unreasonable with your goals, it allows you to really challenge yourself and to really put yourself in a situation where you're uncomfortable. And with my goal of 300K this year, that's super uncomfortable for me right now. But knowing that I have the tools in place to go do that, and all I have to really do is go out there, might fall flat on my face a few times again this year, but using those mistakes as fuel so that I can learn from them immediately, not stay down on myself for having made those mistakes, and just use them as tools for improvement and being able to go ahead and run that massive business this year.
Obviously, there's a lot of useful things that you gained last year as a manager. Of all the things that you learned, which one would you say is going to be the most useful to you?
One of the most important thing I would learn last year is really just being accountable, and I think that's really going to help me this year, is because when you're running a larger scale business, you have a lot more things going on at once, and being accountable for every single thing that happens on a job site or with a client or with one of your employees, good or bad, allows you to really be able to learn on the fly and adjust with everything that's going on in a given day. And knowing that is, I can be much more accountable this year because I'm going to have more crews, more job sites, a couple people that are managing job sites for me. Being accountable of that under this whole umbrella of production, I think will help me be able to manage a business twice the size in this coming year.
Sweet. So after you're done, obviously you're going to run your 300K business this year, and you're going to wrap that up. And what do you plan on doing after you finish running your business here and you move on into the world?
Man, well, I would say that first and foremost, I want to travel. I've never been outside of North America, so I really want to be able to get out and travel the world. And with what I'm studying, focusing on marketing, I feel like that is, to some degree helpful to know that, when you come back to Canada, which is a very multicultural country, being able to create marketing plans for different cultures within different cities, I feel that would be of value to me as well. And just to be able to have the experience, and that's kind of my goal within the first year, is to travel. And then after that, to be able to go to grad school and study at a master's level in marketing and consumer behavior. And that's really what my main focus is in academics. And after that, in the next 5 years or so, my dream is to be able to be a marketing consultant for people kind of in my position, where they're eager and ambitious, yet they are a little bit lost in terms of what they actually need to do in order to gain the experience necessary to take that next step. So that's kind of my 3-step plan as to where I want to be in the next 5 years.
So travel, then masters in consumer behavior, and then start your own marketing consulting firm. Yeah, that's it. Okay. So for your last question, what I'm really wondering is, if you had to boil down this whole StudentWorks experience and you had to really distill it down to 3 words that to you best describe your experience here, what would those 3 words be?
Challenging, fulfilling, and priceless.
Awesome. Thank you.